guys, welcome back. Just approaching top of descent, so I figured I'd bring you back into we can have a look at setting the aircraft up for our descent, approach and landing. So this is our approach reference here. I've already selected that we're going to have flaps 30, that's going to give us a speed of 142 plus 5 wind correction, so we're looking at a landing speed of 147. The glide slope is on 110 point, which we have done. Down here, just need to switch that over once on the approach phase. Our course, our runway course is 224 degrees. We can go ahead and dial this in. 224. Okay, so that's all set up. What we need to do now is go into here, we need to go into our legs and find out where our first restriction is, because as we are coming to top of descent we need to change the MCP. Okay, so our first restriction is at Laurel of 6,000 feet, 220 knots, but that will be managed by the V now, so that's fine, but we need to put in that we need to be down by 6,000 feet. So we'll go to here, dial this down to 6,000 feet. There we go. Oh, that's the guy that took off just before me at Alicante. Okay, right, a few things. Auto brake. We're looking for a fairly fast off, but it's not. It's about 2/3 of the way down the runway as well. We've got a 16 knot wind, pretty much right on our nose. But I'm going to go with auto brake 2. We'll be taking a fast off at November Romeo, off of runway 22. As we come off at November Romeo, we'll be turning left down Hotel. We're then going to turn right at Charlie and park up at gate 43. Now I don't want to taxi any longer than I need to, and the Ryanair boss wouldn't be too happy if I was burning more fuel by having to do a longer taxi, so we'll put on auto brake 2, and we should be stopped in time to come off at November Romeo. As for that, oh, I never turned my lights off. Look, that's brilliant. So as far as we are at the minute, we're at the METAR for Stansted, and wind's currently at 230 at 16 knots. Our QNH is 120. So when we switch from standard back to transition altitude, which is at 6,000 feet, we're all set up and ready to go with 120. No descent path after Laurel. Right then, let's have a look as to why. So it said this last time, when I did the approach last time it said this, but it still managed to do it just fine, so I'm not entirely sure why it's doing that. Okay. So that's all set up, ready to go. We can approach index. Okay, and we have to just pass top of descent, so we're descending through now. And this is where we need to start managing and making sure that we are meeting everything. For instance, this purple needle needs to be on level with this line or thereabouts, and that will be our perfect descent path. A minute, we're absolutely fine. Descending at 2,800 feet per minute, so we need to keep an eye on that and make sure that our speed doesn't creep. Then we need to introduce some drag by using the speed brake in flight descent mode. We did have an ATC earlier, so we have got a squawk of 0651. And we go ahead and we can tune that over now, that's no big issue. Okay, so the METAR reads at Echo Golf Sierra Sierra, which is London Stansted, 111250Z, which is telling us the report is from 1250 on the 11th, and Z is obviously Zulu. We've then got 23016 KT, which means winds are at 230 degrees, that's 16 knots. We've then got 4 nines. Now 4 nines means visibility is more than 10 kilometres. We've got few at 0 to 6, which is few clouds at 2,600. Then got 1509, 15 being 15 degrees centigrade, 09 being 09 degrees centigrade dew point being if at any point during the flight the temperature on our approach has changed and it goes down to 9 degrees, that we're then likely to see mist and fog conditions. And Q1020, which is our QNH, which is 1020. A lot of the time what you see at the end of a METAR is NOSIG, NOSIG, which basically means there'll be no significant change over the next 2 hours. Okay, so I don't know if we're going to get any turbulence. It's looking like we probably are. Let's turn the gain down so we can see anything below us. No traffic as of yet. I'm pretty sure Heathrow is below us somewhere. Right. Dropping down 23,000 feet. Winds at the moment are 240 at 66 knots, so we've got a 66 knot wind up our backside at the moment, pushing us along. Now I don't know if people are interested, but I'm going to do a tutorial on reading METAR, because it is confusing. When I first started doing flight simming, the METAR made no sense to me whatsoever. I just kind of followed suit with what everyone else was doing at that airport. Or, failing that, if you're not quite sure what runway to use and you're using real world weather, there's an app called Flight Radar 24. Download that, log on to the app and see which runway planes are landing and departing from. Okay, we need to bring some drag in here because we need to keep the speed around the orange needle. And we're 30 miles away from our decel point, which is when the VNAV will take over and reduce the speed of the aircraft. The textures I'm using are FTX England. I don't have global just yet. It's another one of the things on the shopping list, but simming is very expensive if you want all these lovely add-ons to make it as realistic as possible. It's not cheap by any means. Make sure we've got everything dialed in here. I'm going to have to hope that no one is on the approach or taking off at Stansted, because like last time I don't want to Windows the sim to state my intentions. Quite bad, I know, but I don't want to risk after 2 hours of flying the sim crashing, because that wouldn't be good, would it? Wouldn't even be funny. Okay, there's Luton Airport, which is where that EasyJet 2224 landed at not too long ago. and he departed about 40 minutes ahead of me from Alicante. Okay, so we're coming up to the lower now where we need to be down by 6,000 feet. Okay, bring the speed brake in now. Okay, so as we're going to be doing a loop here, it's just to lose some speed. If we had ATC guiding us in, I imagine they would turn us and vector us a different way, so that we wouldn't have to do that holding loop to lose the altitude before we get to BK10, where we need to be at 2,500 feet, so that when we turn on to runway heading, we intercept the glide slope. Anything above that, and we will not. If I remember, I will put the chart up on the screen so that you can have a look. But I've got to be honest, I'm pretty useless at remembering things. Okay, so we should be able to listen in to ATIS at Stansted by now, I would think. Might be wrong.
Echo Golf Sierra Sierra Airport information Whiskey 1250 Zulu weather wind 229er at 16 visibility 10 sky condition few clouds at 2,600 temperature 152.9er QNH 1020 advise on initial contact you have information Whiskey. Echo
Okay, so we have information Whiskey, which if we need to
Whiskey
contact
1.
ATC, we can tell them we have information Whiskey, therefore we know the ATIS of the airport, we know the QNH, and yada yada yada. Now I looked at Meta on the internet, on my laptop, and that marries up to what he's just said, so we're all good. Perks of using real world weather. You can go on the internet on another machine or your phone and find out what you need to do without exiting the sim. It's 16 knot wind at 229er. Well, I said 230. So we can't really moan. We've got it pretty spot on. We've used less fuel than we thought. And we're 64 miles away from the runway. So we're dropping under 10 in a few moments. In fact, whilst my mind is on it, I'll turn on the lights. I never turn taxi lights on, well that can come off for now. Okay. As we can see, this is still where it needs to be. Slightly above, but not enough for it to be a problem at all. Okay, so we're dropping below 250 knots as we drop down to 10,000 feet. The landing lights are on, as they should be once you're below 10,000 feet. Everything up there looks absolutely fine. No warnings. We're 23 miles away from DME, but we've got to do a circle here, so anyone that doesn't know what they're looking at here, that could be a whole bunch of confusing information. All we've got is waypoint and expected time that we get to that waypoint. So 13:21, we should be at Zulu. So 4 minutes. Track and go back in. I think we could be in for quite a bumpy approach. Okay, so we're just entering our little sort of hold pattern, so we can drop down to 6,000 feet. We've just passed over Laurel now at just over 9,000 feet, so there's no way you would be able to get to that altitude in time, unless obviously vectored or you force the aircraft down. But this is per the chart, so I'm not going to argue with it. We're just going to do a big loop here, as you can see on the display, onto BK, and then just down here we need to be at BK10 at 2,500 feet. Okay, we're not far off transition altitude now, which is 6,000 feet, and once we are there we will go to standard pressure, which we know from the METAR is 1020, which we have set just here. Landing speed of 147. Okay, we can get rid of the drag now. Almost dropping down to 6,000 feet. Right, okay. Now if we wanted to here, which I am going to do actually, we can go direct to BK10, which are 10,500 feet. Oh, do that. Okay, no, it's not going to let me. Okay, we need more drag. Bring in more drag now. We've just come up to 6,000, so we go to standard. And now we're above the descent path. Ever so slightly. We're just dropping into the clouds, which apparently weren't here until 2,500 feet. So, there you go. Speed brake out. FMC is telling us we need more drag. We just hit 180 by the time we get to BK10. Okay, speed brake in. Still got a bit of a wind pushing us, so we're just going to have to control our speed. Okay, I'm going to go flaps 1, just for a bit more drag here. Have to intervene as well because we're not get down to 2,500 feet if we're not careful. And slow to 180 knots. That was my fault there. I was completely was not paying attention. I never changed the altitude on the MCP, which is why the approach path did not take us down to 2,500 feet. I'm not quite going to make it either by the looks of things. Never mind, can't get it all right all the time. In real life, obviously, you have a co-pilot with you that could tell you and help you out, but that just obviously isn't an option. Okay, so we're gaining speed, which isn't good. Slowly. Able to see the runway now. So I think it's just back here, just past the window. Yeah. Right. Okay, so we've missed our 2,500 feet. But a chart means we can stay at 2,500 feet by the time we get to CI22, which is fine. Which is the next waypoint. We should be down by then, so that is absolutely fine. In fact, we will be down by then, so I can just ease this off a little bit. Okay, we need to lose this speed, we need to lose it fast. I'm going to go flaps 5 and try and lose a bit more speed here, a bit more drag. I'm going to arm VOR, stop bouncing around. There we go. VOR lock at the minute is white. That means it's active, but it hasn't caught the glide slope just yet. Once that goes green, then we're sound as a pound. And there is the runway there. I can't help but feel I've missed a fix here. And then select. Because we seem to be a bit too close for a final turn on. Okay, I'll go 160 here. Okay, glide slope is live, so we can hit approach. Flaps 15, gear down. And our landing speed is 147, which we will slow down to as we get closer. Okay, speed brake off. Speed brake armed. Auto brake set. Flaps 15. We're going flaps 30 for landing. Haven't quite captured the glide slope yet, we're just underneath it. That's our position, and this is the glide slope position, so we're just coming up on it. Okay, so we can go to 147 now, flaps 30. And glide slope has been captured. Now if we wanted to auto land this, all we do is arm second autopilot. That's basically what this is telling us, single channel. we go to dual channel, that'll give us an auto land, but we don't want to auto land. Once we drop below 1,000 feet, I shall take control. And I can't see any aircraft, so that's good. Okay, we'll set this at 3,000 feet, that's our go around altitude. Set this at 224, which is runway heading. Okay, so the winds have picked up from when we listened to the METAR, because we're now at 236 at 22 knots. Okay, come on, disengage autopilot. I have control. Long there, because this is November Romeo, the one we need to come off. Right, speed brake in, flaps up, off, taxi on, then go to off onto both, APU start. Right then. So that was a bit manic, but never mind. We're on the ground. Any landing's a safe landing, apparently. And now we taxi down hotel. And off at Charlie. For gate 43. Right, as always, it's been a pleasure, and I hopefully see you for the next flight, Athens, I believe. Maybe videos in between, but the next flight will be Athens. Anyway guys, take care, thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out the channel and hit that subscribe button.